and its efforts to increase its representation at Stormont. The party had one MLA in the last mandate, its leader Jim Allister, who joins me now. Welcome to the programme. You clearly want to fight this election on the protocol. You say that's the real issue of concern for unionism. Are you sure about that?
I am sure about that, because the union is jeopardised by the protocol. This is a protocol which decrees that Great Britain, the other part of our union, is a foreign country, and therefore its goods must be subject to foreign customs codes and tariffs and checks. Now, there's no more dramatic illustration of the constitutional impact of the protocol than that. And if there's any doubt about that, then what this Court of Appeal said puts it beyond doubt. It said that the protocol subjugates Article 6 of the Act of Union. What is our union? It's an economic union, it's a political union. The economic union is Article 6, which is supposed to guarantee unfettered trade between and within. The Court of Appeal is saying that has been subjugated, overridden, vanquished by the protocol. So, of course, it is a direct, perilous attack upon the very fabric of the union.
That is your very personal and specific interpretation of what that really means and what the impact might be of the protocol on the union. The problem is for you, surely, your vision of the union has never been shared by mainstream unionism at any stage. If that was the case, the TUV would have done much better at the polls down the years. Do you think it's going to be different this time?
We didn't have the protocol at previous polls in its manifestations that we now have. I do think that unionists are correctly exercised about this assault on the union. And I do think that unionists see that it is TUV that identified the issues right from the beginning, when some others were talking foolishly about there being sensible proposals in the protocol, about there being opportunities, about there being the best of both worlds. It was TUV that was saying, this is a direct assault and betrayal of the union. And I think that has been borne out, and I think that gives TUV the wind at its back.
But if you look down through the years, I was just looking at manifesto titles. When you look at them down the years, you've always had something that you've not been happy about. 2010, putting it right.
Much not to be happy
2015, a real alternative. 2016, straight-talking, principled politics. Then we had Drain the Swamp. Then we had Telling As It Is. So there's always been something that you've been uncomfortable about.
Well, there's much to be uncomfortable
and that you thought threatened the union.
Take this Stormont. You know, this Stormont has limped from crisis to crisis. There's a very simple reason why this Stormont, as constituted, will never work. And it's this. Sinn Féin is not there to make Northern Ireland work. So you can dress that up as much as you like, but when you strip it down to the reality, that is the fact.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And therefore,
says that she hopes that she'll come back and be in the executive and be First Minister.
Well, let me just finish the point. Therefore, when you create a system of government which can only exist by the grace and favour of Sinn Féin, and Sinn Féin doesn't want the very province to exist, then it's no surprise that system is.
So your point is that the protocol presents a real and present existential threat to the union. Are you admitting then, if the TUV doesn't make a breakthrough at this election under these circumstances, that's it?
No, I'm not, because it's not just TUV that is saying the protocol is wrong. We're saying it loud and clear. We're saying it very emphatically.
It's more concern to TUV voters than to other unionists. I mean,
I think it is.
The most recent Lucid Talk poll suggested 74% of TUV voters are concerned about the protocol. That's 47% for the DUP and 22% for the UUP. So it's a specific TUV worldview.
Well, I think it is a unionist worldview, and it may be particularly focused in respect of TUV voters. But of course, I want to maximise our support. And I want to greatly disappoint the BBC by getting extra seats.
Well, I'm sure the BBC doesn't have a view on whether you get extra seats or don't get extra seats. The issue is that you keep making the same point about the threats to the union, and it doesn't hit home. Your 2016 Assembly Manifesto said, you've seen in Jim Allister what one determined TUV voice can achieve in the Assembly. Just think of the potential of multiple TUV MLAs. You won 24,000 votes, 3.4%, and 1 seat. 2017, you said a vote for the TUV was unionist voters' best insurance policy. TUV alone offers the radical change that Northern Ireland has been crying out for. 20,000 votes, 2.6%, and 1 seat. What makes you think it'll be any different this time?
And all you have in this interview, Mark, is, from your perspective, an opportunity to deride, to demean TUV and the people who vote for us. Now, if you think that doesn't
I'm just
send.
asking
If you
questions,
think
Jim,
that,
just like
sorry,
I did
no,
with
no,
Colum Eastman.
no. If you think
Those are
that,
my figures.
if you think that isn't
Those are
sending,
the
if you
electorate
think
figures.
that isn't sending a very clear message that you and the BBC are in the business of trying to demean the people who vote for me,
Certainly
then,
not demeaning.
you know,
But looking
you
at the
have-
facts and asking you why you think that the direction of travel will be different this time. I think
Because
that's a perfectly reasonable question.
I do believe that the protocol has motivated people. I do believe the more we see of Stormont, the more they realise that the party that says this Stormont will never work,
Right.
that mandatory coalition is a total failure because you don't have to agree about anything in order to be in government. I think the more people see the failure of Stormont, the more they recognise the wisdom of what we've been
Okay,
saying.
so let me ask you this straightforward question. What would a good day at the polls be in 4 weeks' time for Jim Allister and the TUV? A doubling of your representation to 2 seats, or do you believe you get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6? Put a number on.
Well, I'm not going to put a number on it because it's in the hands of the electorate. What I'm saying to the electorate is, if you're happy with what you got, vote for the same again. Because if you vote for the same again, that's exactly what you'll get. You won't be disappointed. But if you're not happy with what you've got, then it's no good just to hope for change. You need to vote for change. And it's by voting for TUV that you demonstrate this Stormont cannot continue as is, this protocol cannot continue, and that you make it clearer than you could by voting for anyone else that TUV is the voice for you.
Okay.
And I think within that, you will see a growth in TUV support.
Okay, and I'm not surprised that you would say that. If you won't put a number on the number of seats that you think you will go back with, you won't even tell me what you would like to go back with. Is it fair for me?
Back with as many as possible.
Okay, but you won't put a number on it.
Well, I can't put a number on it because I don't know what the electorate's going to do.
You could tell me what you think realistically is
achievable. Well, I do believe that we have had a significant rise, sustained in credible polls over recent times, and I do believe that will be reflected in the polls. And if it is, then I will not be alone in Stormont. And I do, without apology, make the point that people have seen what one TUV MLA could do. I think many could do much more.
Okay, would it be fair to say that if you go back on your own as the sole TUV representative after the election on May the 5th, that would be a sign of failure if the threat to the union is as great as you maintain it is?
Well,
that's a fair assumption.
Going back without anyone would be total failure. Yeah. Going back with only one would be relative failure, and that would be disappointing for me, but ecstasy for the BBC.
Okay. A senior DUP figure was on Twitter last night. I mentioned this earlier. I just want to ask you about it, suggesting his party supporters should transfer to other pro-union parties after the DUP, and then, depending on the constituency concerned, also give preferences to the SDLP and Alliance to stop Sinn Féin picking up seats it could be prevented from taking. Would you urge TUV voters to do the same?
I'm urging voters to vote for anti-protocol, pro-union candidates. I think there's a sufficient breadth of appeal there to encompass the needs of the unionist community. So I'm not advocating anyone to vote for a pro-protocol, pro-Republican, pro-nationalist candidate. Of course I'm not.
Okay, but Richard Billock from the DUP did precisely that on
DUP was
Twitter
for themselves. The DUP is the party that has sustained Sinn Féin in government since 2007, so maybe no surprise.
Okay, well the DUP is the party that won 225,000 votes at the last Stormont election. Earlier this year, the government announced plans for a return of double jobbing, something that you were very clear you were opposed to. When you were invited to sign a letter alongside other party leaders, you declined, and a spokesperson for you said you wouldn't sign anything along with Michelle O'Neill or any other Sinn Féin figure. That's fair enough, isn't it?
That is fair enough.
Okay. But just a few months earlier, you were happy to sign an anti-protocol pledge and appear shoulder to shoulder in a promotional video with Councillor Billy Hutchinson, the PUP leader, who is an unrepentant, self-confessed double murderer. How do you justify that?
Well, let's be very clear. What I did in September was sign a declaration of unalterable rejection of the protocol.
And he was
he also signed that. That's a matter for him. But his status and his position does not taint or alter my position.
Yeah, but the same logic you're employing for signing that could have been employed for signing the letter alongside Michelle O'Neill about double jobbing, but you wouldn't, and I'm just asking you why not.
Well, TV has no truck with Sinn Féin or those who continue to justify the vicious, vile murders of our citizens. And that, of course, is sadly the continuing position of Sinn Féin, a justification of a terrorist campaign which saw many people left fatherless and bereft. I've no apology to make for not wanting to give those individuals any sort of leg up in any sort of
And of
situation.
course, both of the parties are now clearly wedded to the peace process. They make that very clear in their literature. Well, indeed, they do say. But also, Billy Hutchinson has made it clear in a number of interviews recently, because he published a book, that he is unrepentant for the actions
And
they
that's
did back in
shameful.
the 1970s.
That is
But
absolutely
you were
shameful.
prepared. That's my point.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
prepared.
And you are
to
prepared.
stand
You are
alongside him in
prepared.
a video and sign a letter and perhaps open the charge of hypocrisy from your political opponents. No?
And you, Mark, are prepared to dredge anything to try and get some dirt to stick to TUV. But people know that TUV has principle, we have integrity,
Okay.
and try as you might, you will not tarnish that.
Okay, one final quick question. In 2016, you said you were too young to retire. You are now 69, as I understand it. Will you serve a full 5-year term if you're returned on May the 5th?
None of us can guarantee our health or indeed our mortality, but I'm putting myself again before the electorate of North Antrim, inviting them to elect me as their servant in the Assembly. If they do that, I will serve them.
Okay, we will leave it there. Jim Alistair, thanks very much indeed for coming in.